I do. Summer's my favorite season. I love it. Like
Sounds so
my
hot.
whole family's born in August. I could just sit outside and like soak up the sun, touch
Ooh.
grass. And I would
Mm-mm.
much rather be hot and sweaty than freezing cold, which is
But
unusual.
freezing cold, you could put on more clothes. When you're hot and sweaty, you could get naked and you are
Yes.
still hot and sweaty. There's no, like, once you're naked and you're like,
Yep.
I'm just
Mhm.
drenched still
Yep.
and
Yep.
naked.
I
It's disgusting.
accept the drench, you know?
Ugh. Ever since after having kids, I am
Oh yeah.
way sweatier. And, after like breastfeeding, my boobs are kind of saggier and it's just like sweat gets like under them. And it's like, oh,
Let's
I
just
hate it.
normalize the sweat. I mean, like, who told us that we can't sweat as women? Who told us that? Why is that not acceptable? So let's just embrace the sweat. Yeah. Have you seen all the Instagram videos that's just like moms and
No.
that's their favorite thing to do is just throw
No,
it?
I haven't.
It's so perfect. I should do one. I should do some content for
You
that.
should.
It's
Yeah.
my favorite part. Take off my bra and put on my pajamas.
Yes. But then my daughter, since she's so young, she's 2, she like death gripped onto my nipple the other day when I didn't have a bra
Mm.
on, and it was so painful.
Yeah.
So painful. Like they're highly sensitive after breastfeeding too. And so I was just like, oh, dying, like, let's go. And she got so upset because I had such a reaction to it. And she
Oh
like
yeah,
started
that's hard.
wailing. And I was like, I'm sorry. But also, that hurt.
Well, that's like when you're breastfeeding and you get bit for the first time and you're like, ow, and then you're like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. Don't like be traumatized and never breastfeed
Yeah.
again because I yelled at you, but also please don't bite me again.
So that was the thing with my son. When at 5.5 months old, his bottom teeth, 2 teeth came in and he started biting me. And I like powered through like 2 weeks of bleeding,
Mm.
chapped nipples. And I was like, I could do this. I could do this. And everything I was reading and watching was like trying to teach them how to not do that. And you don't have a reaction. I'm like, how do you not have a reaction to that? Like, I'm sorry, someone's like slicing open your nipple, you would have a reaction to it.
Mhm. Men
Anyways,
must
we didn't make it past 2 weeks. We switched the formula.
Yeah, I for sure my first bit me and I yelped basically, and then he didn't do it again. So like I mean, I know you're not supposed to have a reaction, but it worked in that scenario. And then my second would like nibble every now and then, and I just pulled him off and was like, that is not okay. That hurts mommy. And then but we were able to make it through. But you know what? I had such hard like postpartum
Hmm.
nursing breastfeeding stuff. So like at that point when that was happening, I was like, I can deal with it.
Yeah.
Because I had all the awful stuff at
Oh
right earlier.
no.
So, you
Just one
just
more thing.
yeah, you just figure it
Yeah.
out. Like life.
Yep. Well, anyways, super excited to talk to you. Let's get into the podcast. Are you ready? All right. Well, welcome officially, everybody, to the Between Meetings and Motherhood podcast. I am the founder. I don't even have my ring on today. I have been off of it. This is all about Mothered Magazine today because I have with me Kathryn Hatcher, who is being featured in the June issue of our Mothered Magazine issue. And Kathryn is the founder of Camply, and I'm super excited to talk all about summer camps and infrastructure support and your journey as a mom entrepreneur. So, welcome to the show.
Thanks. I'm so glad to be here. Really excited for the June issue too and all that's upcoming. And it is the season. So
It
good time
is.
to record this because I
Yes.
literally dropped my son off at soccer camp this morning. So
Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's talk about it. So, you have a 7-year old and a 4-year old. Are they
yeah,
both
two
at
boys.
camps?
So my youngest is at the end of the pre-K camp. So
Hmm.
he's at camp, but it's at his current school.
Hmm.
So it's not like too much of a change for
Okay.
us. But my oldest is into all the things, all the sports, and likes to do a
Hmm.
different camp every week, every summer.
Oh,
So we are
interesting.
doing the rigmarole, and the logistics of that is insane. So it's wild.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
I think when I was young, we maybe did a couple camps, then in, but then we stopped and the recession hit and, we were old enough by that time to
Yeah.
not really do camps. So I think we did some when we were little, but there were three of us. And so I think a lot of it was like just go play outdoors. And so it wasn't
Mhm.
as much camps and structured activity as it is today. And
Yeah,
obviously
it's
my kids are little. Yeah, yeah. So take me through this. Is it camps by week? Are most camps by month? Is it the whole summer? And how expensive are camps really? Is it daycare
well,
prices?
yeah. Oh, yeah. It's really expensive. So I'll start a little bit in the back end. I also only went to a few camps growing up. I also am one of three, so we played a lot. I think it has changed so much in the past 20, 30 years for a couple of different reasons. And one is the lack of third spaces that we used to
Mm,
have. We don't contribute to the community as much.
right.
There's a lot of, that time period in the 80s and 90s where we were a little bit more like introverted, kind of like didn't push out into the world. We had a lot of like fear around kids getting abducted and all of that stuff. So that was part of it too, lack of third spaces. And then parents, not, it wasn't as many dual working parents
Mm,
then
right.
too. So you often had one parent that was staying home at least for summer that was able to work it out. We also had more of a village back then. So
Yeah.
like you lived near family, you were multi-generational, and that has also changed. So for sure, I went to like a couple of church camps, I went to a couple art
Hmm.
camps, I went to a couple of
Yeah.
like play camps. But it was just a few for the summer, and then the rest we were like free birds, you know?
Hmm.
So when I talk to my parents, they're like, "This is so different,"
Yeah.
and I think I had to do like quite a bit of training on my business because they're like, "What do you mean you have to book 12 camps this summer?" And I'm like, "I just said that I have to book 12
Yeah.
camps this summer."
That's insane.
As far as region, it's really different. So here in Atlanta, most families do the day camps, and they range from a different camp every week to you can do the same camp all summer. You can do, 2 weeks here, 3 weeks here. It really depends on the parent. I have some friends that are like, I cannot do the mental load of switching a camp every week. And
Yeah.
so we do like one camp for a month, another camp for a month, and then we're done.
Hmm.
So it's a really big range here in Atlanta, but it depends on the area. I know like the Northeast does a lot more sleepaway camps. And so
Okay.
they do some camps before and after, and then they have a big chunk of summer that's sleepaway camps. It just really depends on the city
Hmm.
and different things that are there. So crazy. But
Yeah.
also to price, I think this is a big shock to parents that have like 4-year-olds graduating pre-K, getting out of daycare, and they're going into kindergarten, and it's their first summer, and parents are like, this is going to be great. We're going to public education. It's not going to be that expensive. Like, I just have to maybe pay for aftercare. And then you totally
Hmm.
forget about all the school breaks.
Yeah.
And I mean, the US kids are out of school like anywhere from like 16 to 18 weeks a year
Hmm.
with all the school breaks, the holidays, and summer. And if you're both working parents, you only get what, 4 weeks of PTO, maybe.
Yeah.
So how
Maybe.
are you filling that gap of like 10 to 12 weeks that you don't have PTO, maybe don't have family help, and you have to cover for your kids? So a lot of camps now have popped up for that. A lot of people use nannies, babysitters, that
Hmm.
type of thing too. Um, but it has gotten expensive. I mean, I started it when I was experiencing the same thing for my kids. I have summer birthday kids, and so my son was turning 5 at the end of summer, and so many camps don't start till 5. And so I
Mm.
had the whole summer where he was ineligible and couldn't go to camp with his friends because he wasn't yet 5. And I was like, this is
Oh.
crazy. I've got to find. And it was so much harder for me to find camps for 4, 3-year-olds and younger.
Hmm.
Um, but the price of camps, it's a range. I mean, it really depends on what type of camp you're looking for and what you can afford. We have so many families in the Atlanta area that are on scholarships for camps.
Right.
A lot of the city and county camps, YMCA camps are cheaper, which is great to be able to provide access to those families. And then you have like the middle of the road camps, but they seem very expensive.
Yeah.
That are like, soccer, tennis camps at local universities or local schools. Those can range anywhere from like 150 a week to 500 a week. And then,
Whoa.
and then if
Per
you're,
kid.
yeah, per kid. And if you're adding aftercare or before care on top of that, it adds expense. If it's a new sport that your kid hasn't done before, you've got to buy a racket, a soccer ball, that sort of thing.
Whoa.
And then there are some specialty camps. Like if you're talking about STEM, robotics, anything that's like licensed, like a Lego camp, all of those tend to be even higher. So there are some camps at like our tech university here, Georgia Tech, that can be up to $1,000 a week. And those are
Oh
for
my
like
God.
really specialized camps. Like I always said, okay, if my kid's into coding, we're going to try like all these camps first. And then he better be like a
Huh.
master or something for me to pay $1,000 a week for him to go to this camp. So it really
That's
is a,
insane.
and that's why I want to make it accessible to parents because how can you find the right camp that you can afford? You really have to budget this out like in December because many camps start registration in January. And who wants to think about that when it's the holiday season,
Yeah.
when your wallet is already tight, you're doing all the holidays, probably some birthdays too. School's out, so you need camps for that 2, 3 weeks over the holidays. And now you're like, I'm about to drop several $1,000s on
Yeah.
summer camp. It can be really shocking to parents. So part of what I want to do also is like educate parents on like it doesn't have to be that competitive. It doesn't have to be that expensive. There are options along the spectrum that you can choose. It just depends on what you're looking for. And I really recommend parents to research that ahead of time and figure out what their budget is for summer.
Nice. Yeah, that's a lot. So then take me through the platform you've built, Camply. It's kind of like the in between, the connector between the parents and the camps, right? Does it have all this information, or do you still have to go outside to find some more information? Do you pay right through the app? Sort of take me through what this looks like that you've built.
Yeah, so I started Camply last year. We launched last year, and we're always improving it, talking to parents and what they're looking for camps. Every day, I feel like I get some feedback that's like, it'd be great if we could filter for this and search for this. And I'm like, yes, 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 it would be. And so it's unlimited the things that I could, and I'm a parent, I use it, right? So I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I want that. I want that. And so it's just a matter of time, right? And to make it helpful for parents. So Camply is a marketplace for parents to find camps and camps to find parents. Right now in Atlanta, we have over 660 local camp providers for summer.
Whoa,
So
that's a lot.
parents can find all of that in one place. They can search by location, keyword, age. They can search by before, after care, or both. They can search by the map feature, see where it is according to work and home. And we're, of course, adding more features all the time. So, an interest too, like I want to look for test camps or volleyball camps or golf camps. Because we want to make it as easy as possible. What we found so far is that a lot of parents are searching really based on the logistics, which is location. Because some parents are willing to pay a little bit more if it's closer because you're not going to be in
Right.
the car an extra hour. And especially with summer camps, so many of the camps are not aligned with our work hours. They are generally like 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. We all know that work is like if you have to drop off at 9, you're getting to work at
Yeah.
9:30, best case scenario. So that extra time you save for it being closer to your home or your work, I think is a really big value add for parents. So they use a lot of those features in terms of finding it by location and then narrowing down from there. And then parents can search and find camps. They can click on the camp, find out more information about the camp. They've got hours, whether a bus is available or not, extra aftercare, all of that's available on our website. If you're a parent and you want additional planning tools like putting it on your calendar, planning with friends, getting the registration alerts, all of that's through Camply Plus, which is a subscription service for parents. But it was really important for me that parents can search and find camps for free just to help them save some time, and especially for families that are struggling with affording it, because we know how expensive it is right now. Inflation and groceries, like I'm feeling it too. So it was important for me for parents to be able to search and find things for free, and hopefully that helps them at least save several hours of their summer camp planning process.
Yeah, this is amazing. I love what you've built. I want to talk about you. Take me back to, because we have a similar story of spending our life in corporate America and, working our way up. And
I thought that was the dream, Like,
right,
that's
right.
what we're taught.
That was what we're taught. And then all of a sudden we become moms and hit some sort of struggle and have our like origin story of like, and then I started my whole company because of, my experience. What made you think that you're going to leave the corporate world and start your business? Like, that mindset is not common, I feel like. I mean, you and I do so much of the networking that we run into this a lot, right? But like, I feel like most people don't have that mindset. So take me through sort of that moment, that pivotal moment where you're like, you know what, I can fucking build this myself.
Yeah, I will say it started with like a drip, drip, drip.
Okay.
I was in corporate and consulting for many years. I was way burned out during COVID, working remote with my kid at home, no childcare for 8 months. My husband and I were both working full time. That was like the first straw, right? Like, why am I killing myself in this corporate culture to move up a ladder and like not be valued and respected? And I'm working all these hours for what? Like, what am I really getting in return? And then I moved into industry and I worked for a health tech startup. And then I was like, okay, I really like this vibe. This is great. And all through this time, like, I'm parenting. I've had my own experiences, right? Like, my son was in the NICU. We had a horrible time breastfeeding. We figured that out. I had a miscarriage in between in 2020. I had my next son. And I was like, this is really hard. And corporate life is not meant for working mothers.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a really big disconnect between what culture says about working mothers, because I have a lot of ambition, and I thought that ambition trajectory meant moving up the corporate ladder.
Yeah.
And I think people say, oh, okay, well, working parents, like, it's just not a fit, right? Like, you can't be super ambitious and, be a CEO of a Fortune 500 company and like work up the ladder. And you always have to make sacrifices, right? There's always compromises, there's always sacrifices, but there's so much more to life than that. And I was feeling so discontent with that life. And there wasn't joy there. And I was like a machine in this whole system. And I was working at this health tech startup, and I was like, I like this vibe. I like getting my hands into everything. Both my parents are entrepreneurs. My brother-in-law is an entrepreneur. So I always had it in the back of my mind, but I never knew the thing. But I realized that as a parent, there have been so many things where I like helping parents. Like, my oldest son has severe food allergies, and I love talking to other parents that are figuring out food allergies for the first time. And then I had a miscarriage, and my company at the time did not have any leave for women with pregnancy loss. So I spent years building that into their leave policies so that other women could have that. And so I was like, okay, clearly there is a lot of passion behind helping other parents. And then in 2024, I was laid off from that tech startup, which I know so many people can relate to right now. So many layoffs are happening. And I just took some time off And I was like, I need to regulate my nervous system. I need to spend time with my family. And I did. And I literally said, I'm going to spend 2 months doing zero networking, zero interviewing, zero applying. Like just essentially quit it all, take some time for myself. And then it's like the universe aligned, right? It was January and I was signing my son up for summer camps. And I thought, this doesn't exist yet. I'm up at
Mm-hmm.
1 a.m. with a color coded spreadsheet doing price and kid and hours and cost and interest
Mm-hmm.
and whose friend is going to be at this same camp. And I thought, this is ridiculous. Why is it so hard? Why am I doing this for the third year in a row and I've never done something
Mm-hmm.
about it before? And I thought this is my thing. This is it.
Yeah.
It was in the middle of the night. Everybody was asleep in the house and I was like, I'm so organized. I'm doing this. I have a project management background. Why don't I just build something?
Mm-hmm.
So, as so many entrepreneurs do, they start with a test, right?
Yeah.
And I just threw up a social media account and I started helping families one on one as a camp concierge business, like helping
Mm.
families build their calendars, their customized plans one on one, and very quickly realized that that wasn't going to be enough for families to help them and not scalable for me. And so Camply was born and we just keep growing it from here and helping families, listening to our camp partners. And I have felt so much joy in both the ambition of building my own business that's mine and the ability to be there for my kids when I need to.
Yeah.
I had 10, 12 meetings a day in
Mm-hmm.
corporate world and back to back to back, like no time for strategy, no time for vision, no time for
Yep.
kids. My husband and I would negotiate whose meeting was more important when a kid was sick.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't the life I wanted. Now I can go to a 10 o'clock graduation on a Friday. And now I can take my kid to summer camp at 9 o'clock drop off and be, at home working at 9:30 and nobody's on my tail.
Yeah.
So the ability for the flexibility, like I'm building this for my family, I'm building
Mm-hmm.
it for my boys, I'm building it to help other parents. But I think that so much of it is that corporate culture wasn't built for us.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of time in that 2 months where I was like, what am I doing? I worked with my therapist and she was like, let's do a values exercise.
Ooh.
And I was like, that's a really good idea. So we did it as a family
Uh-huh.
and I was like, okay, this is great, totally aligned. And she was like, but you didn't do it for you. And I was like, you're right. She's like, you always do things like, for the family, for
Yeah.
everybody. You worked in corporate and you were making a lot of money and you were like, oh, it doesn't matter, my life because I'm making enough money to provide for my family. And she was like, go back to what you really feel underneath and do your values separate from anything else. What do you want? What do you value?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that, of course, is aligned with my family's values, but the ambition part of that, the time with my kids, adventure,
Yeah.
curiosity. I felt like so much of entrepreneurship now is like learning from other people, learning new tools and technology and corporate. I was just churning through the same things.
Mm-hmm.
I really felt like I wasn't growing. So it's been a change. But if you ask my husband, he would say her mental health and her physical health are 100 times better now
I
that
love that.
cancer week.
That's so amazing. I love that our stories and the work we're doing and like the underlying like reasons are so aligned. And you talk about something that's important because I think the difference between corporate world and entrepreneurship is very distinctive in that like yes, we could be in back-to-back meetings all day in corporate and not have the flexibility we need, but also especially in the early phase of building a company, it can still be hustle. Like I work
Oh,
a lot more now than I did in corporate, arguably.
yeah.
But I can set my own schedule. I leave to go pick up the kids from daycare at 4:30, block out my calendar so no one's booking anything until, now I'll work in the evenings again a little bit. Um, but I think because it's something you're passionate about, it makes it so much more like easy to swallow of like, yeah, I'm happy to finish up what I was working on after the kids go to sleep because it's important. How
Yes.
have you found that balance in building a company compared to overworking in corporate and raising two young boys who are notoriously wild and energetic?
Yeah. Um, when you said that part about working all the extra hours for corporate, I just felt so resentful.
Yeah.
I'm working, I don't want to be doing this. I'm working all these extra hours for other people. I don't even
Hmm.
really see the end value in it. Like I'm a
Yeah.
very like mission, purpose driven. I want to feel like I'm helping people. And I think many entrepreneurs, but many female entrepreneurs really relate to that. And I wasn't getting that. For me, I have to tamper down the like extra hours and here because I am ambitious and I could easily work till 3 a.m.
Same.
because there's so much to do and I love it and I'm making progress and that feels good and I could
Yeah.
do that. But I am learning to like make the trade-offs and choose it and own it and accept it and move forward even if it wasn't the right choice at the time. So what I mean by that is like have I worked till 3 a.m.? Absolutely. Was it worth it? Was I the best parent? Was I the best parent the next morning? Not my best
Yeah.
day. But we all make those sacrifices. More often than not, I will sit with myself and be like, is this one thing that important? And if it's for a
Yeah.
client or if it's for a mom that I'm trying to help find a specific camp for her kid with autism and ADHD that might fit, like
Hmm.
some of that like really makes sense for me to work on because I feel like I'm immediately helping people. But I also want to be there for my kids and be a good mom. And I want them to see that the hustle culture isn't the only way. I want them to see she built something. She didn't kill herself for it because what type of mom would I
Yeah.
be? I'm, valuing that over my well being, which in turn leads to their well being.
Hmm.
And I don't think there's balance. I think that every day is a seesaw,
Yep.
and I'm choosing what to do in that day that makes sense. Like my son has an extracurricular this afternoon, and we're just going to have to skip it because I have another
Mm.
event, in the
Yeah.
evening, and that's just how life goes. And
Hmm.
I think, too, what I'm trying to do now that I have a 7-year-old, almost 8-year-old, is explain my thought process behind my decisions.
Oh,
Because he's
yeah.
old enough now where I can say, I'm choosing to do this for my business and I think it's very valuable. And in turn, that means that I can't take you to your extracurricular. We'll go on Thursday. But I
Yeah.
want you to know that like I am making these choices and I'm the boss of the family. Mom and dad are the boss, like it's just what it is. And he might have feelings about that, and so do I,
Hmm.
right? Like every time
Yeah.
I choose a meeting instead of going to the school to read a book at school or whatever, like I have feelings about that too, and those feelings are okay. We
Hmm.
just have to accept that, and that was my decision, and move on and not ruminate about it and not
Yeah.
feel guilty about it because I sure am. I sure do feel guilty about it sometimes, but I can't wallow in that. I got to move to the next thing. And I
Yeah.
want to live a life that is reflective of ambitious, building something, and also being present for my kids. Even if I might be a little bit slower in building my business
Hmm.
than a 20-year-old that has no other responsibilities or a
Yeah.
man that has a wife at home that can do all
Yeah.
the other things. Like that is a sacrifice that I'm willing to make until at least my kids are a little bit older because they take up so much of your time and you
Yeah.
don't get this time back. And so I'm constantly thinking through those decisions. And, one day has better balance than others, but you're just choosing what you think is best in the moment. And you got to give yourself some grace, I think.
And I think that's such an important point that we don't talk about enough, or at least we don't share visibly that part of it. Like online on social media, if you're a mom building a business, there are trade-offs. And balance is, it's some days it's all over the place. Some days more parenting, some days more work. There's plenty of times where I also I try to block my whole calendar. So when after daycare and the kids are home, I don't work. But there's plenty of days, like yesterday, we had a big report launch, so I'm like responding to all these DMs and messages and trying to keep up with work. And so I can't be as present. And I do feel bad, right? I do feel bad, like that I'm not as present for my kids, but I also know that this is really important work, and there's going to be later and tomorrow, and it's part of that seesaw, like you said. But it's hard, and I feel like it's something you have to almost learn and come to on your own as an entrepreneur and mom, is finding that like daily balance almost, and figuring out that it's not a you problem. It's just that it's always going to be up and down. Like that's almost part of it. But I love that what you first said about how it's like, I'm not resentful about working extra and working late, because I know as much as I'm energy going to pour into the company, it's what you're building, and it matters. That's huge. That resentment is so important. Because I remember feeling resentful too, of like, I fucking don't want to do this. And
you got to get clear of that, like shake off that. I feel like so much in the world is about energy and vibe, as the young kids say, right? Like, why hold on to that when you can make a difference? And I think I didn't learn boundaries in the corporate world soon enough until I had my own kids. And even now I'm like I'm hiring an intern for this summer, and I was like, I'm not going to be available from 5 to 8. I tell everybody that 5 to 8 is like pick up, play, dinner, bath, bed, like not available. And that's it for me. And I do that. And sure, I'm sure there are times when that's, I'm like on my phone answering some emails or whatever. For the most part, I'm not taking calls. I'm not at my computer. I'm not responding to emails. And if I do, I communicate that to my kids. Hold on, Mom's got an email, whatever. And I do that. But for me, it's the boundaries too, making sure that like I set what I value. And I'm reading Emma Greed's book, Start With Yourself. And she said something in there recently about trade-offs. And she said that she doesn't go to school events, like volunteer at school events, if the kids aren't going to be there. Like, all the time schools are like, hey, come like help out with the library or come do this. And I never thought about it that way. I just was like, oh, they're expecting me to volunteer. Like I'm a working parent. This is really hard to volunteer. But I thought that's a really good boundary. If it's volunteering in the classroom where she also gets to spend time with her kid, it's a yes. If it's volunteering outside of that, it's a no. And I was like, that is such a clear thing that I think sometimes there's so much on social media about like being a good mom and what that means, and you need to be present for everything. And I'm like, that's not sustainable. That's not available for anyone. And you have to have a certain level of privilege to be able to do any of that at the basic level. But
if you're there for what matters, that's what's important.
And what matters to you, not other people. Right? Someone might freaking love the library and that's their jam and that's what they want to do. But like, I want to be, if I'm going to school, I want to see my kid. So.
Yeah. Especially as a business owner, if you're not working on your business, that time spent elsewhere matters a lot. So talk to me, you talked about hiring an intern. Super, super exciting, right? So tell me more about the growth, the direction you're going with Camply. It sounds like you're doing a ton of work. So talk to me about scaling your business.
Yeah, it has been so wild. So we do all the school break and summer camps too. So we very much like parenting, right? Like
Yeah.
the business is like peaks January, February for all the summer camps and then comes back up in March and April for spring break. And then again, last minute summer camp signups. So like this is the beginning of summer for us. So still people are trying to fill those like random weeks that they forgot about or their vacation moved or grandparents can't come. So still pretty busy here, but then we'll have a little bit of a lull and then we'll ramp back up again around like Labor Day and then other holidays. So it is for sure on and off for us, but what I'm really focusing on is since it's a two-sided marketplace, right? I'm serving both camps and parents. Camps, I'm really focusing on helping them with their analytics and getting more visibility, showing them, you know, what parents' planning process is, like what do they search for, how are they finding camps, all of that in terms of engagement for them, and they find that really valuable. So just fine tuning that to make sure that I can replicate that in other cities. Like, what is the most valuable report dashboard that I can give my camps? And then for parents, we talked about some of the search filters that I'm always hearing for feedback from parents and how I can make that better for them. Right now I talked about the ADHD, autism camps that accept kids with special needs. So trying to figure out a way to categorize that for our families, because that's really important. And then same thing for families that need scholarships or can't afford to go to camp. How can they access camps that are free or low cost? And I'm working with a couple of other partners there to be able to identify those camps and make that so that people can filter and search by that. And then on top of all of that, it's all the planning tools for parents, right? The execution of summer is a whole different ballgame. You've signed up, it's on your calendar, but how many times are you looking back at that camp email to be like, where do I drop him off? What door is it? Like what today I had to go to spot 6, but in the afternoon I picked spot 5. And so like, do I bring lunch? Is it nut free? Do I bring snack? Do they provide it? Like all of the things that go with the logistics of execution of summer and the mental load for parents, but often mostly moms. That's what we're really trying to solve now. So I'm talking with parents about like, what is stressing you out on execution? How can I make it better? How can we support you in that? How can you have all the details in one spot? And then just making it easier so that it's part of your family system, whether you do a shared calendar or Skylight or whatever, you have all of that in one place. So it's really a lot of listening to parents and growing that before. I want to make sure we're in a really good spot for that before we scale, because like I said earlier, each city is a little bit different in how they run summer camps, whether families do, several weeks, the whole summer, week to week, before I do that. But I have family in South Carolina and family in Colorado, and they're like, please, please come help. So
I'm sure everyone needs it in every state. I mean, I feel like everyone's going to be commenting like, when is this coming to California? When is this coming to like XYZ place? This is
I get a lot of comments on LinkedIn. Like, when are you coming to Philadelphia? When are you coming to LA? When are you coming? And that is so great. And I love that because one, it's validation, that's traction. I'm like, sign up for our list. We'll let you know when, sign up on our list, on our newsletter. So we'll let you know when we're going there. But also that provides me with ability to reach out to those parents and be like, tell me about LA. Like, what is it like there? Who can I get to be, camp lead rep over there that like knows so much about the location and the camps and the people and the, target and the audience and all of that. So I just want to make sure we've got it right for families. And with AI and with how much it's going so fast, I know we can do that. I just want to make sure that it's not just another tool, but that it really saves you time and stress, and it makes the mental load a little bit easier for this summer. Because I saw today, I think someone said, it was on LinkedIn. and said, "Oh, I get really mad when someone's like, 'Aren't you so glad school's out? Like, yay, summer.'" And all the parents are like, "Absolutely not,
No.
because it's a whole different, it's inconsistent weeks, it's
Hmm.
inconsistent hours. I'm putting
Yeah.
together childcare. It's just a whole different logistics ballgame." And so our goal is to help relieve some of that stress for families, and then help camps that are often small businesses find the right
Hmm.
family for them, and ones that will continue to be a part of their camp for, the next several years.
Well, I love that so much, Kathryn. Where can listeners find you and Camply online?
Oh yeah, I feel like I'm everywhere. We've got you can find Kathryn Hatcher on LinkedIn. I also am on TikTok and Instagram, Kathryn Hatcher with an underscore at the end. Camply is joincamply.com, and we have Join Camply on Instagram and TikTok, and then Join Camply underscore Atlanta if you're based in Atlanta and want to hear more and see value about specific camps that still have openings, and lots of tips and tricks there. So,
Yay.
yeah, it's so exciting.
I love
Thanks
that. We
for
will,
having.
yeah, and we will link to all of your socials and website in the description. So if you're listening to this, you can find those links in the description. And if you're listening, that also means that the June issue of Mothered Magazine has come out. And so you can read Kathryn's full interview at motheredmagazine.com and read more about her work and the impact she's doing and raising kids as toddler boys. Although 7 isn't toddler anymore. 4 is still kind of toddler.
Oh
No.
yeah, he feels like such a big kid now. I look at
Oh,
him and I'm like, "Are you 13? Oh, where did that go?" But it's fun. It's so fun.
oh, that's good. Well, thank you, Kathryn, so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you.
Thanks so much for having me. It was so much fun and always good to chat with you.
Absolutely.